See when that pops up.
Word is we are live.
And we should be live, yeah.
We should be live. I see nothing on the screen. Still tells me I'm waiting. How big is this lag going to be today?
It's probably going to be real crappy. I know earlier with the Amigos, it seemed like their stream had a second to potato as well.
There we go.
Great Wombatsky says, potato's still bacon, yeah.
And yes. And so, yes, we are live. Welcome back to Amigos & Co. I, of course, am one of your hosts, not the main host. Legion, you can call me Steve, whatever you want. Somewhere on one side, the other side, I could never fucking tell. My good friend, Chris Vandal, he comes from the United States of America. And the question that I keep getting asked, what's with the accent, Steve? I am not Australian. I live in Australia. I am Canadian. I grew up in Scotland. I'm a little bit Austrian. You don't need to know my backstory. Welcome to the show.
Whoa,
Chris,
whoa.
over to you.
Yeah, guys, so that's the whole show. Thank you for coming. I'd like to shout out all of our amazing sponsors. Legion, Breeze Tones Coils, and then we'll see you next week. No. I really got nothing. I always leave it up to Steve. He does the bitchin' intros and stuff, you know. It's like he's been doing this a while, you guys. I don't know.
I don't know. You know what? Honestly, I just start my lips flapping and shit falls out, and I just let it land wherever it does. I have no control. When I started, okay, here's a backstory thing. When I started doing the whole review thing, I really hate jump cuts. And they take a lot of time to deal with, and they look like shit. And so I didn't want to do that. So I spent a lot of time re-recording. I would get like 3/4 of the way through, and I'd fuck it up, and I would just go back. And I learned how to deal with fuck-ups, and I learned how to just kind of like continue speaking a lot. And I got really comfortable with just yapping. So my reviews overall, they're not as perfect in terms of the talking bit as other people, but they're genuine, and I really came to sort of appreciate that part of me. I think people do. They can feel that I'm genuine because there's not that subconscious, well, what's he cutting out? He's leaving in all the little mistakes and stuff. So I've just kind of learned to look at the camera as much as possible, every now and then I look away, and just verbal diarrhea. That's it. That's it.
I feel like I'm well on my way to verbal diarrhea. You guys have been here a couple times before, so you guys know how it goes. I do want to address something while we are starting out the show, and I've got nothing but filler for the whole time. We're not going to do a giveaway tonight. I have been instructed to stay home. I know my boss is not like the President of the United States, but I'm not leaving my house because I don't have to now. I get to work from home this week. So, no giveaway tonight. And then also, we had like on Friday, I want to shout this out. So, we had a giveaway. We gave away this RDA right here that I was going to ship out today. Anyways, we had Shannon in the chat. The Tech Begins, you guys might have seen him. Every time that mofo wins, he always passes it on to someone else, like the good guy he is. So he passed it on to Jingles. And then so we had a different guy in the chat earlier that night that was like, hey, this is my first time, blah, blah, blah. Wanted to win the piece or whatever. Jingles took the time to find him on his own like a creepy Facebook stalker. Be like, hey, man, would you rather have the piece? And so we forwarded it again to that guy. RBK Mark II, I think his name is, if you guys see him around here. But yeah, so I just want to give a huge shout out to the community if any of you guys weren't here for that show on Friday. You guys are fucking amazing. You guys are super fucking cool.
That is one of the things that I've seen. We don't have the biggest following, we don't have the largest group, but they are dedicated and they are family, like to each other as well as to us. They're nothing but good, solid, caring people. Big, hairy, tattooed people, little, tiny people, all sorts of people, but they are caring people, and that is something I'm really proud of, that this channel has developed that. I don't know how lucky that 2 assholes like us, 3 assholes when Adam's around, managed to get you guys to watch, but yeah, you guys, Mowgli's right. Heroes don't always escape. You are all heroes in my book. Before we get into the whole buffet thing, which is not that exciting this week, but before we get into that, I do want to talk a bit about the big topic of the week. You can't get away from it. Everyone is panicking. Everyone's scared. Everyone, I hope, is stocking up or stocked up on toilet paper, hand sanitizer, all that stuff. Don't go overboard. I was talking earlier, and it's possible that Chris has already gone through this illness a couple weeks ago. He got some really nasty stuff going on in his body. He pulled through, and his girlfriend did as well. He is now he's not quarantined, but he's been instructed to work from home, which I think he's really enjoying. I, of course, am a hermit. I live in my little cave here. I never move from this seat, literally. Um, I feel like shit. I'll be honest with you. And I can't figure out what's going on because this time of year, I always seem to get a flu. This is the transition from summer to fall for Australia, and I always have this kind of weird flu-y feeling at this time of year. I feel tired. I feel headachy. I have a little bit of tightness. I have a dry cough. Don't have a fever. And everyone in the house is much the same. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I can't say without an absolute test whether it's yay or nay, but it could be one, it could be the other. I am doing everything I can at this point to self-isolate, which is no real hardship because it's what I normally do anyway. The only thing that makes it difficult is my local grocery stores. We don't have, like in the States, you have a lot of grocery stores, different companies.
They're across the street from each other here.
Two. Yeah, you like even in Canada, we have like in Vancouver, there's like 5 or 6 different chains you could go to. Here we have two. We have two. They both have home delivery service. They both yesterday announced, and this was my big plan, we'll stock up a little bit, we'll compensate for the rest with them. They've canceled. They both canceled their home delivery service for the duration, and they will only deliver to apparently the elderly and those who are vulnerable. I don't know how you get on that list. I don't know, so I may run out of food in a couple weeks. But other than that, I'll be good. Self-isolating. I will still open the door for vape mail. Our local posties have a new directive. If your mail needs to be signed, they're going to stand well back, look at you in the eye, sign on your behalf, put the parcel down, and walk away. I actually got some mail this morning, and that's exactly the procedure. No contact. But
to be fair, I've never met a parcel delivery driver in the States, because usually when you check the cameras and stuff, they don't even come all the way up to your curb here. They just throw it a good 15 feet at your door and then hope you get it.
I'm lucky to live regionally, so people a little bit more personable around here, and they're not quite as busy. And yeah, usually I only deal with the postie guys and the DHL. There's a couple other companies that don't really like them. Try never to get deliveries through them. The DHL guys are really, really nice. They come to the door. We have a nice chat. The postie guys, not so much, but yeah, they're okay. They actually do come to the door here, which is good most of the time.
Yeah.
I've had those one or those occasions. I think we all go through them. It's like you get the notification on the truck. Oh, they're in the area.
Start creeping the window.
Missed delivery.
And you're at home the whole time.
But the door is open. It's wide open. I'm right here. I'm sitting on the porch. What the fuck? I think we've all gone through that once or twice at least. I want to say a big welcome to Little Aussie Vape Shop. I know you're a really, really busy guy. You don't get to watch the show, which is unfortunately timed for the majority of Australia. So thanks for popping in. I hope you're feeling well. I know you had some medical stuff recently. I hope the back's doing a lot better, man. I know what that's like.
Yeah. Speaking of they're talking in the chat about like Amazon being dry fooded and all that stuff like that. I did go shopping today to stock up, just get some regular food in the house that couldn't go bad. And man, it's a desolate wasteland in there. And I don't know if anyone else in here knows this because I don't talk about it every 5 seconds. I love the video game Fallout, so it kind of reminded me of that. But instead of people shooting each other, they're like, racing to get the last thing of rice-a-roni. And it was pretty rough as far as like meats and like waters go. There was water. And this is the funniest thing, that Americans are so picky about the water that they taste that no one bought any of the Dasani. I bought a case of the Dasani and no one touched it. Literally, like people were pulling distilled water before they were pulling Dasani. So I was like, fuck. And here's my thing. I got a Brita filter on the way. And then if you guys are super worried about it, your public service stuff's probably going to be fine, your water and stuff. And if you're that freaked out about it, don't waste money on a bunch of bottles that are going to rot on the earth for 1,000 years. Go buy a goddamn Brita, put it on your sink, and then you'll be fine. If you're worried about
absolutely.
it.
You know what? This is the thing. People are stocking up like crazy, like overstocking on things that don't matter. When this whole toilet paper thing went insane like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and I was just looking at that going, but I have a shower head. Worst case scenario, I can rinse the shit off my ass, but I need something to eat. You know, we went out like on I think it was Friday or Saturday. We decided, okay, we're gonna stock up a little bit, make sure we're good. Some long-term stuff, common sense stuff. And we thought, well, we go through bread, and if we're stuck at home, we can't do that. We're gonna get a bread maker. I used to have a bread maker a long time ago. A wife used to have a bread maker before we got together, and we both enjoyed using it. So it's like it's a good choice, right? Nothing nicer than nice, fresh, warm bread just baked. And so we go online. It's like every single store in the area is sold out of bread makers. Like someone must have around this area. They must have become one of those things like a good idea that just spread. We actually found one in one store, the last one they had in stock. All the bread makers are sold out. Everyone's like someone's actually thinking because that's a common sense thing.
So is it
and
since it was the last one, I just got to know, is it my first little bread maker or something like that?
Like no, it's actually a good brand. It's the good brand, but geez, I mean, you stock up on stuff like long term stuff like canned things, jams, and whatever. But bread and milk, these are the things you're gonna run out of so fast. So we got that long life, got a bunch of that in the cupboard, and we got the bread maker and a bunch of flour. So we're good to keep going.
Yeah,
we'll be okay.
As you're dying. Yeah, I didn't really get anything too crazy. Just some, stuff you can put in the freezer, and then like a couple of meats. But honestly, like growing up poor as I did, and then also being in the military like I was, this is just normal life for me to eat crappy food and get by with it. You know what I mean? Like cases. I still have cases of ramen noodle. I've moved in 3 houses in the past like 6 years because they never go bad. But that's also just like I grew up on this stuff. So when everyone's losing their shit, freaking out about not being able to get stuff, I'm like, man, it's not that bad. Don't be an asshole to your neighbor. Be a good person. I was going to do as a joke, we're going to give away a roll of toilet paper on here, but it's a little bit bad taste, so we might do it Friday.
Yeah, save that for the shit show.
Yeah.
So let's, we've been yapping on for a while, and you know what? Everyone knows about Corona. We filled them in with our prepping concepts. Let's move on to some stuff that people actually care about. Let's talk about the buffet.
Yeah.
Why don't you start?
All right. So last week I was doing the anarchist comp mod. I was using it, or I used it around the house. Not the comp mod. Excuse me. Sorry, it's behind my lifetime supply of Red Bulls I bought today. That was the most important purchase. I was rocking this during the day because, I've been working from home. And I got to tell you, everyone's like, oh, that sounds like amazing. Yeah, it sounds amazing until you realize you're working from home. I mean, it's not bad, but I just don't know what to do with my fucking self. At work, I can go help out in the warehouse. I can ship you guys your packages. I can cough on all your juice. But at home, I just cough on myself. No. But yeah, anyways. So I've been rocking this around the house. Breeze Tellins is the anarchist one, the Hexome. And then right here is, my goat with the top side. And in both, went back to basics and anarchist pink. Nothing fancy. I was going to try and switch it up, but I was actually going to do the coil build of the coils I installed in this, but I didn't get to go to work and I didn't have help and I didn't want to fuck it up. So that'll be next week. Maybe. We'll see. Unless we're all dead.
As for me, dead simple this week. I got a bunch of stuff here, but I'm really only using 3. Of course, my favorite Aegis X. I've got the mesh version of the hell is that called? Getting old, losing words. Zeus X, that's the one. The mesh version, which is coming up for review, so I'm giving it a good hefty test, mainly because nothing else is coming in these days. Really enjoying that, and I've gone through full 60 mil of Bogan's Brews Duck's Nuts in the last couple of days. So I've just switched that over to this pink lemonade gum stuff that I just want to use up because my stores are running down. I don't have a lot of juice right now. I'm just using up this old stuff. Got a few things coming in over the week, but it's not going to be a lot. It'll get me through. And yeah, because like you went for the Hexone last week. I went for a matchy setup, my old Hexone with the goat on top, pink lemonade. It is life.
Nice.
Really enjoying having this back in my hand. Actually, it's one of those good shelf setups that I loved. I enjoyed both of these devices. I pushed them back to the shelf and kind of forgot about them for a while. So I'm, keeping this in rotation for a while. Really enjoyed using it. Also, the Q Ultra from Lost Vape still has like 3/4 of a tank in there. It's been sitting on my desk. I did the review, forgot about it, stopped using it. Picked it up yesterday. I went, oh yeah, should use that juice up. What is that? It is lemon cheesecake. Picked it up, took a puff on it, went, wow. Yeah, that was actually really nice. I do really like that. So I've been using that for the last couple of days. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Speaking
Other
of
stuff sitting here, but nothing's getting used.
speaking of
What was
lemon
that?
cheesecake, well, it's not lemon, but I don't know if you guys remember back when Wake Mod Co. Those guys still made juice and stuff, and Malicious was manufacturing it for them and
Yep.
all that. Strawbeezy, I was going through some stuff this
Cheesecake?
weekend. Yeah, well before, yeah, it was the change since cheesecake to Strawbeezy. I'm not gonna lie to you, since I've been doing social media and stuff and doing the photo and brands, the old school cheesecake labels were my absolute favorite. Absolute favorite. Those bottles were so pretty and so good to shoot. Anyways, I was going through my vape stuff, and I was just going through the room and all that shit. And I found this bottle of Steve's cake that I used to photograph, so it's not open. I think I might try this week.
Well steeped. It should be lovely. I had a few bottles. I went through quite a few bottles of cheesecake. Really liked it. Just before they switched over, before they actually went to, before they launched Wake. And I gotta say that this is something you bring this up. It's been on my mind for the last little while. I don't know what happened to Wake. I don't know what the backstory is. I know the previous backstory.
With Dot Mod and all
With-
those assholes?
Yeah, the whole dot mod falling out, launching Steve's Cake, reformulating their ideas, and then coming out with the Wake concept. And then I made a point of every time a new Wake product hit the market, I was on it. I really wanted to help promote their company. I loved their aesthetic. I loved their design quality. I really loved what they had done with the early part of the dot mod company and their aesthetics. I mean, I'm looking over here. I got like three of the mods and three of the RDAs from dot mod over there before they started naming things. But yeah, what happened to Wake? They came out with some really interesting, really cool ideas that were close to the dot mod aesthetic, but going their own way, and then gone.
Well, from
Like,
my
just-
understanding of everything that happened with that, and I'm not gonna get into like vape drama and stuff because it was definitely before my time in the industry, and it's not my place to talk about it. But me, I just like to make fun of guys on YouTube that look like dead fish in the grocery store. Anyways, last I heard was that I know of was that they kind of got undercut at when they did dot mod and they came along with this. I guess it's a foreign company and undercut them, but all the people behind the Wake mod were the ones that created all the original designs, is what I know of it, and so that's why it looks similar because they actually created those things, and that's why you see it transferred over to Wake mod. That's why it looks similar, but that's because they created the look for dot mod, and then the people that came in and all that stole it from them. I don't know all the details. And again, with vape drama stuff,
like I said, the whole backstory, the backstory of that transition from dot mod to Wake. Like I understand, I know exactly what happened there, and you're right. There's a lot of business maneuvering, but yeah, they pretty much had their company taken out from underneath them, and sucks for them, and it's kind of the way business goes. And they relaunched as Wake, and that's kind of my question. Like Wake came on hard. They came out with a product. It was quite good. They came out with another product. It was quite good. It had those aesthetic feel that comes from Ilea, the design aesthetics. She did a really, really good job with that. But then, and this is where my question is: where did Wake go? They haven't released anything in a long time. I haven't seen any social media from them at all in almost a year now. Like
The
it's been
last
a
thing
long
that they
time.
did was what, that
Um,
tube mod kit, and then after that, I know that they because they're also in a band, and I feel bad for not knowing all the info. I don't remember what the name of the band is. I knew that they were gonna take. This is what I've heard at least. Like I said, my word here is not law, but that they were gonna take time off and do the band thing for a while, and all that. And then also you got to think too, like with if you own a company that you just started again, and then all this shit happened with the PMTAs, and then making sure that your stuff's FDA registered and stuff like that. Like I said, I
yeah.
don't know for sure, but from my standpoint, I would be like, you know what, maybe it's time to take a step back.
And absolutely, if that's what happened, then I would completely understand. On the other hand, kind of feel it's a shame. They brought something very valuable, something very unique. They definitely were like going back to the dot mod days where you had very utilitarian devices. They brought a unique aesthetic that melded functionality. Like the original .rda that I had was my number one flavor tester for everything for the longest time, and everything that I came in that was new. Uh, that was the first comparison. Is it as good as the .rda? Did it perform as well? Was it as easy to install? Did it make as tasty, flavorful clouds to that device? That was my benchmark, and they really added a lot of value to the industry, and
Especially the creativity alone,
it's a loss
because
to see them go.
yeah, and you never know. I mean, people pop back up, but there it's funny because there are people that created a device or a product that you still see in use that people use every day because like it's like the only thing that I see more than anything else is like classic dot mod RDAs and then like old school anarchist RDAs and like classic hand checks and shit like that. And of course you see a lot of other stuff, you know, but as far as brands that have been around for a while, you know, it's hard to see nowadays anything that still has lasting value. And I'm not talking shit about it, but it's not like you see someone pop out a tank like a smock tank from 4 years ago and so, oh, I'm rocking the smock point 2, you know, and all that, whatever the fuck it's called, you know, and doing that. So it does suck that they're not a part of the creative part of our industry right now, but, you know, like Josh in the chat says, it's the last that they saw was going on the band doing the tour thing. And you know what? Do what makes you happy.
Yeah, I mean, whatever they choose, I wish them nothing but the best. And if they decide to come back in, again, if you're watching this, reach out, and I'm happy to do everything that I can. It's only a little bit, but whatever I can. I hope that they haven't given up on the industry totally, but if they have, it's an understandable choice given the way things are right now. Um, One of the things about their leadership with Dot Mod is that they approach things in a very clear manner. They introduce a device, mech, they introduced an RDA, and that was it. About a year and a half later, they went, we can make that RDA better. Here's the 1.5. A couple months later, they go, we can make that mod a little bit smoother. Here's the 1.5. It looks just like the one. It's got a different switch. They literally stuck with that, and their color schemes were designed so that everything matched, everything worked. No matter what color, you could interchange everything. The new dot mod, they've got a whole different aesthetic going on. It looks superficially the same, but if you look at their color palette, there are some of those colors, they don't work well together. You look at the product range, it's like they've gone from, instead of going from that very, very clear, we'll produce the best product and we'll only change it when we can make it better. Now it's like, here's this, and here's this, and here's a tank, and it leaks, and here's a box, and here's some new doors, and these doors over here, and they become just another company. They used to be iconic. Now they're just another company, and they have that bad reputation. When's the last time you saw a big name reviewer do a dot mod review?
Well, that
Don't
and
want to
all,
touch them.
like you're saying too, is they've changed. Like it's crazy to see, like with any industry that has some kind of creativity behind it, how much it did the difference is with the people behind a brand and how much it can change. And that, like you know, you like you said, like they create products and they still kind of look the same, but they're not. And I do feel like the artistic integrity of the person that created it. If they lose that, I don't think that the product is the same visually, or it's not. It doesn't feel the same, and it may be just like you said, little off color things or not color matches. But with nowadays, with how much you can customize and you want to make everything virtually yours in a sense, you can see when it starts to feel a little massy produced. You know what I mean?
Well, like I said, I've got what four dot mod mechs and four dot mod RDAs, all different colors, and I can disassemble the top rings, the buttons, the top part of the RDA separates into a top ring and a barrel. I can mix any of those colors. I can make the most weird abomination of different things. It'll still look good. Those colors, like it's a palette. They're designed to work together, and that's one of the tiniest little details that they worked really hard on making. And so when they introduced a new color, they spent months working on that one single color to make sure that it fit. I've got to appreciate that level of you know, integrity.
Speaking
Anyway, enough of that.
something else, I do have a question for you that the people in chat might be interested in. So with all this going on with the Modelo virus, coronavirus, whatever, COVID-19, whatever you want to call it, is this dampening any of your progress with wanting to do the documentary? Are you going to push it back maybe, like the time frame for the donations and stuff? Because right now, it'd be a hard time for people to donate on top of you getting out and doing it.
That's a very heavy and loaded question. There's a lot of different angles there.
I should have asked before the show. My bad.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I'm happy to be straightforward. I'm nothing if not transparent. The fundraising site that I chose, it's an all or nothing proposition, which is why I didn't go for other options. I went for just the one, and either I get the funding or I don't. If I don't get the funding, I get nothing, and we'll go back to the drawing board. So there's that thing. And I have noticed that, yeah, I've had, some periods of activity there. It has really cooled down over the last week or so. Not as many views, not as many donations. It's really calmed down. I'm not sure. I mean, things may change, but I just may not make it. And if that's the case, I'll swallow that and I will move on. It's looking more and more like that's going to be the case. If I do make it, if I do make the funding, then all that funding will be collected and banked, and I will set myself up to go make that documentary. But I was very careful when I put together the outline that I never said in any of the documentation that I would go out and film on this date. So, yeah, we're having restricted movement right now. There's no way that I could go this week. I'm self-isolated. Next month, I don't know what the government's going to say. If the funding comes in and it is safe to do so, I will go up and I will do that filming. If it's not time yet, all of that gets banked and put aside, and I wait till it's the right time.
So maybe this is too loaded of a question for you then. But if, it's a great idea, maybe at the wrong time, and you said that if you don't hit your goal, then that's it. And I understand that you're not going to keep the money, and all that stuff. But maybe, I think it'd be a great thing, but maybe move the goalposts on time frame back. I don't know.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, this is a fundraising endeavor, and right now it's set at a specific budget with a specific plan. And if I reach the targeted goal, then I can move ahead. If I don't, then the way that fundraising thing works is I get none of the money, nothing gets pulled out of anyone's accounts. That doesn't mean I give up. That's just okay, we pull back, we regroup, we figure out a better time frame, and perhaps 2020 is not the year for this. Perhaps I need to come at it in 2021 when we've learned how to deal with pandemics and stuff, when restrictions for travel are a little less, all that sort of stuff. Doesn't mean I'm going to give up completely. I may retool it. I may go, okay, so maybe I need to look at this being an ongoing series, and I look at individual people once a month and just go different places to film that. Maybe it's not a full movie. Maybe it's a 20-minute every month documentary with 12 episodes over the year.
A series.
Well, we'll see how that works when we get through this point.
Gotcha.
Like I said, I've said this before. If YouTube shut me down, I'll find another place to publish. If I get no products coming in, I'll find some way to continue to advocate. Um, I'm not giving up. I'm in this for life now, so that's just the way it is. I got things to say, got people to talk to, I got a story to tell.
Yeah.
I will find a way to get it out there.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. And I probably should have asked you before the show. I was going to bring it up.
No worries.
Yeah. But speaking of awesome people doing awesome things, Breeze Tones Coils, you guys, this is my shameless shill moment. Since I have this whole week at home, I'm going to make a bumper for this, and it's going to be real cheesy. Anyways, you can get the new sets of Breeze Tones Coils. He now has 3 variations available at Local Vape. And Local Vape was gracious enough to give us this discount code for you guys to use called Amigos20. And so you go on there and you can get 20% off your whole order. But talking to the boss this morning, being told not to come in, there were talks of maybe a sale that would probably be greater than the 20% going on this week. So I don't know what's going on. Like I said, I wasn't at work, but keep an eye on localvape.com. They also don't give us kickbacks or nothing for promoting them. They're just giving us a code for you guys to use because you guys, for some reason, like to hang out here with us. And so you can use that code at any time at localvape.com. Breeze Tones Coils. And my dogs are playing. Shut up! Thank you. Anyways.
Sounds like he's throwing up in the corner there.
Yeah, my dog's got the coronavirus. Go ahead.
Just want to say, I mean, of course, I'm going to interrupt and talk about my shit. But before I do, let me second that. Breeze Tones Coils are freaking awesome. They are, they're the next big thing. They're spreading all around the world. I've done what I can to try and encourage him to retail a little bit in Australia because it seems ironic that he ships coils to the U.S. and if you're an Australian, you need to buy from the U.S. to ship them back. We have no vendors here. I'm trying my best, guys, to get him into some of the stores here, but he's very, very resistant. But wherever you get them from, however you get them from, they are awesome, awesome fucking coils. Now, I do want to say, you might have noticed on my own channel, not a lot of reviews, not a lot going on right now. Coronavirus, factories are shut down. You know the whole story. I've got a few things lined up, but specific dates. But I have relaunched my my news and advocacy show, Ion Vaping, which previously was whenever I saw something that really pissed me off on the news and I could get a video together, I would edit it and I would do some graphics and stuff. I've dropped all of that. We're going live every Friday, 9:30 to 10:30 Australia time, which would make it some weird-ass time
around
in the
3
US on Thursday. Whenever that is,
3 p.m. Pacific.
Pretty much whenever you watch Green, I'm the hour before that. So I'm joining that trail. You can watch me, then you can get really excited with Grim, and then you can finish off your day with Ruby Roo, and that's what she said. I'm joining that block as much as I can. So yeah, about an hour of live chat. I'll try to stick to news and advocacy as much as possible, but I may talk about the bread maker. Who knows? I may talk about some random other stuff.
That brings up a good point.
Sorry?
That brings up something that we talked about in a previous show. And, we thought it was in the chat, and then we all talked about it. Well, I'm repeating myself. I'm not even stoned, guys. That you might do a throwback review of how things have aged or old products. Is that maybe something that we can see?
I've thought about it. I've considered it, but I haven't done it. To be honest, yeah, I might. It's one of those things. It's like I look at it. It's like, what? I've already got a review for that out there. Why would I do another one? I might. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to say except this lasted, that didn't. Speaking of didn't, if you watched my last random Ion Vaping, which was last Friday, I mentioned this thing. Where did I put it? It's over here. This guy, which was in my constant rotation. It was my number one good shelf device. It was actually my mod of the year for the last year, and it died. I used it nonstop. I used it continuously, and I switched out the batteries, and it just wouldn't power on. I plugged it into eScribe just to check things out, and it came on, but it gave me a check time error on the screen. Fiddle around, reset it to the default firmware, played. I managed to get it working again for one set of batteries, but since then, nothing. It just won't. I've talked to DovPo, and they've asked me to send it back. I need to get some more information from them on that. I don't know, guys. It's. I still stand by it. It's a beautiful, lovely device. It's definitely not DovPo's issue that it's gone. It's to do with the DNA chip. And I did find in my research, I found a number of people with a 250C. It's not a huge amount, but it is an issue that's out there, and I haven't found any solution, any fix. There's no eScribe trail of tricks that if you do this, do that, and check your batteries, etc., it will fix it. It just, every trail that I found on said the same problems exactly that I had, and everyone just seems to stop. There's no happy ending to those threads. They all just stop with, well, it's fucked. So like I said, don't hold it against Dupo. It just seems to be an error on the 250C board. I'm going to send it back to them, and I think I'm also going to drop a little hint to them that says, hey, if you want, just send in the other one with your own board in it, the non DNA board, the Dupo board. I would be happy with that. Maybe they'll send me one of the red ones. They would. I like red. Other than that, yeah, not much else to say about that except that I'm really kind of sad. That was like one of my favorite devices of the whole year.
I remember when you first got that, you were super proud of it because it was in the Instagram chats a lot. And then, I would do shout out to in the chat. We got Frames Janklin. If you guys didn't know, their show Vaping with the Omies on the Vaping with the Omies channel is before ours at 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm not doing the breakdown of the time in Australia because I'm already stupid enough to not get it right for ours. But go check those guys out. Super great guys. I also went through the YouTube channel today, and I pinned our crossover episode with them on our top video, where you guys can see it. The great guys over there. Good group. Very inspiring, and they're good people, so go check them out.
Actually, I watched them just before we came on, and they had a really awesome guy, and they were talking about punk gigs and punk records and motivation, and it kind of brought up a question in my mind. So I want to ask you the question, which is, if you can remember in your drug-addled mind, what is the first music release? I'm not going to say record because age differences. What's the first thing that you bought that you remember? Like
oh man, you want me to embarrass myself?
Be honest.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna no. It's totally gonna be embarrassing myself. The very first piece of music memorabilia, well, as in not memorabilia, first thing was a cassette tape, which was the Backstreet Boys' first original album. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm a pop guy to heart. I used to fall asleep listening to the radio, and I'd be singing them deep R&B tunes like Some Girl Named Shwanda Left Me, or I'm over there and my heart's broken and I'm Usher. Anyways, I used to want to be a singer and shit like that. Obviously, you hear my voice, it's two balloons dry humping, so it didn't work out. But, so yeah, it was the Backstreet Boys cassette tape, and then the very first CD I ever had was the Mace Harlem World 97, which was, it's a rapper from New York, and he was under Bad Boy, if you're from the 90s in America at that time. The big puffy jackets and the tube music videos and shit. But yeah, T-Get says the Hanson cassette tape there. Yeah, not proud to say it, but I own that one too. For some reason, I thought I was destined for boy band stardom, but here we are. And I'm not even as cool as MGK, which is a loser. So, yeah. But anyway, Steve.
Nobody's as cool as Shane Beekman. Susie Q can. That is a kick-ass song, I'll admit. My first purchase, I remember clearly. I lived in Scotland at the time, and we went to a jumble sale, which is, jumble sale. So like a yard sale, but in a church hall. And I had 50p, which is half a quid. And I managed to score 2 12-inch records from the big bin. And my selections were, and okay, this is weird because it kind of sets me up for life. One is like one of those things that you would be really proud of if you were a bit of a wanker and really pretentious. And the other is like really embarrassing. I bought Kraftwerk Autobahn, the album 12 inch. So that's my pretentious thing. It's like at 9 years old, I was into Kraftwerk. I didn't know what it was. I just went, that's a cool cover. I'll buy that. And the other one was a K-Tel compilation of 20 disco songs, which I bought solely because it had Disco Duck on it. And I actually absolutely loved Disco Duck. So I had those two. That was the first entry into music for me. All went downhill from there. But yeah, the pop side, Disco Duck, it's there. I've always liked the pop side, and I've always liked that weird, arty, moving out there side. So when you combine them, if you can find a band that has an aesthetic that has a bit of both, it's probably one of the reasons why I really like the Descendants, and I really like Sonic Youth, because they managed to have like weird arty shit and good pop hooks at the same time. Let's see what else are other people saying.
Dude,
First record was Kiss. Kiss, absolutely. I did go through a heavy Kiss period. Had all the vinyl sleeves pinned up on my wall, including the 4 solo albums that you only ever listen to once because they're not good.
I'm not gonna lie here
covers.
and act like I know anything about Kiss, but I tried to impress a girl that was into Kiss in middle school, and I know Gene Simmons because everyone knows Gene Simmons, but the rest of the band I don't know their names. So to impress this girl, I did the face makeup like the Cat, which is the most hated member of Kiss. And so it didn't work out that well. But I have a question for you then that's regarding this, and we can get to the chat after, see what they got. Everyone does it, you know. What's the first thing that you, music band or CD, tape, cassette, or in your case, stone tablet that you stole? Has everyone stolen music at some point? I can start while you think, and I stole the
Cassette.
Aqua CD.
Actually, let's see, I was smart. I was smart, but I was really bad. I never stole from the record store. Never stole from the CD store. I stole cash from family members, and then went and bought the records. And yeah, so there's no direct answer as into to which one I stole from there. However, I can tell you that I was walking home with Pink Floyd The Wall and can't remember what the other record was in my bag. And it was during the day, and Mom was at work. She was supposed to be at work. She was walking behind me when she grabbed me, and we went back and returned them, and I was in big shit. But yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you can remember them, but it's probably when you were around, I don't know your age group. Anyways, it was the 90s. And remember that song Barbie Girl by that weird, like, Swedish or, like, Dutch, whatever band, Aqua? Well, I wouldn't even call them a band. I'd call them, like, yeah. So that's the first thing I ever stole. It was from my cousin. So it wasn't from, like, a store. I've only stolen from a store once, and I felt so guilty for it. I went back and replaced it. I stole a pair of batteries from a thrift store when I was like 7, and I felt so guilty that I bought a new pack of batteries and then went back and then put them in the remote that I stole them from. So I never stole from a store, but yeah. But it was an Aqua CD with Barbie Girl on it, and for some reason, like I said back then, you guys don't want to know the old and young Vandal because I was fucking weird, and some reason I thought that shit slapped harder than anything. I'm like, not the Barbie Girl song specifically, just maybe like the EDM-ish to it, you know, and shit like that. I don't know. I've already embarrassed myself enough. But if you guys,
it's a weird song though, because from what I know, they wrote that song to make fun of people that were plastic and superficial, people who were into Gucci and brand names and stuff. Like you're just plastic. You're nothing. You're scum. They made it was all punk rock in attitude, but the way it came over in the song, that lost in translation, and yeah, everyone they were making fun of were their biggest fans. I mean, it's crazy.
That's the irony of the world of, like, you know, especially in music. A lot of people don't realize it. A lot of these poppy, happy songs are actually really fucking sad songs, or they're songs with a message behind it. I think you and I have talked about it before, but it's like Outkast's Hey Ya. It's actually a really sad fucking song. But when you hear it from their perspective, it's poppy and it's happy. And you're singing along like it's nothing, but it's about not being able to find love and being alone. And how did your parents stay happy, but they weren't happy? And now I'm ranting, but yeah.
Well, it's like you remember Chumbawamba, Tub Thumping?
Yeah.
I mean, there was a period of time where you could not get away from that
No.
song at all. I mean, we're talking about a band that is an anarchist collective first, band second. They mix by council. They write songs together with like an anarchist manifesto. That's how they would they vote on lines and stuff. I mean, they're seriously hardcore about that stuff. And the song was this simultaneous put down of current politics at the time in England and laddish culture. I mean, they were so against it. That whole stuff about I drink this and I drink that and I drink the next thing. I mean, they're actually putting down those people, and yet that song became an anthem for those people. It's just weird.
And it's just the irony of everything around it. And it's like the fashion designers make the ugliest clothes that these rich people go and buy and spend thousands of dollars for a t-shirt on, and they're ugly on purpose so that you don't see them mass produced in these stores. So basically these people are taking all your money, calling you a dumbass for buying it because it costs just as much as that same shirt in a Marshall's to make, and you're paying for it. So everything about culture is a slap in the face if you're looking at it from the right perspective, and the people that are getting slapped in the face are the first ones to represent
it. You know what? Joshua Apathy Miller is saying Vanilla Ice was his first, and there's a couple others that I go through there. And you yourself, you said, Aqua, and you talked about Backstreet Boys. There's no need to be ashamed that your first music was pop music. I can't, again, getting wanky here and already, but I read this awesome book, and it was written by a critic, someone who'd been working as a music critic for 15 years. And he'd had this light bulb moment where he was reviewing avant-garde art music and noise performance fests and stuff like that. And more, the music that he was getting into was more impenetrable for the average person. And then he just kind of realized that he was just a big fucking wanker. And that there's a reason why popular music works. There's a reason why popular hooks get stuck in your head, and why music is feel good no matter what it's saying. In the words that we just sing along, we hum along, it catches into you. Earworms work for a reason, and it's because they make us feel good. They do a serotonin release in our brains. They stick with us.
There's a science behind it.
There's nothing. Yeah, there is a massive science behind it, and there's a massive art behind it, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love a good poppy pop tune. I found myself, it's one of those older things where you start going through YouTube and all the music that you heard and couldn't get away from when you were a kid, but you hated because it was so commercial, like. Backstreet Boys, Backstreet's Back. That's not a bad fucking song. That's a good video too. Check it out.
Dude, the Backstreet's Back video. Oh my god, when that dropped, we lived in an apartment in the middle of Las Vegas, and I remember I got home early from school before Mom and the stepdad got home, and they hated that shit. Like, they didn't like any of that stuff. They were also Jehovah's Witnesses, so number one, the sexuality of it all, and two, the fact they're all monsters. Anyways, I would sit there every day after school. I remember in 5th grade, I'd come home, turn on TRL, and they'd be getting the music video come on, and you'd catch my little scrawny white ass in the middle of my living room, and neighbors under us hating us, trying to dance the dances and stuff. But like you're saying, there's a science behind why it's catchy, and you're gonna hate it when it first comes out because it's just what you do as a culture. You know what I mean? And you want to be original and not like all this other music. And then you realize 20 years later you're driving a Dodge Caravan minivan, and you're over there singing fucking Fergie.
There's this thing. It's weird. Like, because you're young and you're in a culture, so everything else is, or a subculture, everything else is shit. And of course, that's mainstream. So of course, I don't like that. And you become very, very isolated. But as you get older and more experienced, maybe a little bit wiser, a little bit more open, you start to see the similarities. And then you look back at your own subculture and you realize that what was really the cream, the best of that, was in its own way utilizing those same things, the very best of punk rock, all the way back from the beginning, all the way through to now, utilizes those same hooks, those same tools. When you look at a lot of what really popped up in the early 70s in terms of punk, they were stripping down all the stuff that wasn't that and getting back to sort of an almost 1950s aesthetic. A little bit faster, a little bit harder, maybe a bit more political, but in terms of song structure, I mean, the Sex Pistols are nothing but rockabilly in terms of how the music works. A lot of the Clash, it was just rockabilly, and then they started moving into incorporating reggae. When you get to the punk or the hardcore era in the U.S., the same thing. It's like we still have verse, chorus, verse, chorus. We might, we dropped the solos for a while until we got really bored of not having solos. Then we added that back in. All and the Descendants, they're like second generation kids. They're the ones that grew up watching Black Flag and thinking that was awesome. And what was the first thing they did? They took Black Flag's punk and they slammed a whole bunch of bubblegum pop into that, and it was fucking awesome, and it was catchy as hell. I mean, I still much rather listen to that generation with all of the Descendants and all that sort of stuff. It sort of predates skate punk, and it postdates Black Flag, and that to me, that's the perfect era right there. They're really, really, really tight, and they're really movie. Like they move you, movie. Yeah, you're talking again. Someone mentioned Steven Sard getting to see Nirvana twice. There's a band, same thing. Took all that stuff, the arty offbeat. They were into Melvins and they were into Black Flag and all that stuff. But they were also, the best of the Beatles. As much as that could go through you and come out through your fingers when you're playing, to make catchy, tight, riff heavy, emotionally capturing pieces of art. I mean, that's the core of it. It's like finding a way to be different, to be unique, to be part of your own crowd, but enough of what's familiar that really motivates and moves people.
And I think that's what makes music stale these days. There's not a lot of movements going on that you can actually influence with either your struggles and things like that because of how generalized it goes. And I can't tell you dead honest truth. I listen to music every day of my life, at least 6-7 hours a day. What's up, Red Jordan's got in the chat. But what I will say is there's not one rock song that's came out in my taste in the past 5 to 6 years that I can name you that I thought was good. And usually I get like that with hip hop because I'm a hip hop head too. I could say I get heavy into both on each side. But there's nothing new under the sun anymore, and the reason why stuff like Nirvana, like you're saying, or the Sex Pistols stuff were the greatest, because they did have their own culture that they brought to something, and then use the best parts of it, and then use the best parts of theirs, and mash it together. And I don't find any of that going on nowadays.
Well, there's something else too. I mean, it used to be in the 60s and 70s when record companies were growing like crazy, because prior to that, it wasn't vinyl. It wasn't releases that were important. It was print. It was publishing of sheet music that was the big thing. But when it shifted over to vinyl, they grew massively. And they put in what's called the A&R department, artists and repertoire. And they would look after artists, and they would look after the work, and they would encourage them. So when one of the Beatles got really pissed off, they'd say, hey, look, why don't you go and take some time off, go over there, invite some friends over, come up with a solo album. When Neil Young went to them and said, look, I've been doing this stuff for a while. I got this really weird idea. I just want to bring a bunch of machines and make this. No one's going to like it. It's going to be a record that no one likes, but I want to do it. They funded it. They let it happen because they knew he had to get it out of his system to make the better record afterwards. Lou Reed broke up with Velvet Underground, did a couple of records, felt like they sounded too much like Velvet Underground, and he wanted to do this thing that would piss off the critics. Everyone was saying he was a genius, and it was just annoying him. And he said, look, I want to do a double record of just pure feedback, just nothing but noise. And I want to make it more and more ugly. As long as you listen to it, the longer you listen to it, the more uncomfortable you're going to get. And they went, well, that sounds like it's going to suck. Here's a check. And they let him do it. And this is kind of how the industry works. This is why if you go back to the 70s, there was a million records that we haven't heard of anymore. Side projects. It would be two of the Rolling Stones and the guy from the Beatles and the guy from the Who. They just go off and they do like a folk country record under a weird name. There's so much of that shit out there that you haven't heard of because they don't fall under the main canon or the main catalog. In the 80s and the 90s, they stopped. They totally stopped doing that. It was, this record made a lot of money. How can we make the next record? Oh, you want to do different? No, no, you can't do different. They expect this from you. This is what you just did, and it sold well. They won't let you do different things. And so it was really restrictive. Now, they've actually gotten rid of the artists altogether, and they actually gone back to the really, really old days. They have 5 songwriters, a producer, and a pool of faces.
And they don't even choose a lot of, yeah. A lot of stuff in American music, at least I could speak for, that you don't know, if you don't know, is that most of these people you hear on the radio, their songs are written for other artists that have turned down, in hip-hop especially, and pop music. They're written by a group of artists at a record label, given to an artist, and the artist says yes or no if they do the song. Just like Old Town Road was originally written for Drake, if you guys didn't know that. And Drake didn't want to do it, so it went to that one dude, and he blew it up. And so, there's not a lot of whole creativity.
Here's the weird thing, though. There's a trend that's happening underneath all of this. I know whether you like these artists or not, doesn't matter. I have the most massive respect for these individuals, whether I like their work. There are these people that come up that fit into the modern aesthetic, but they're not part of it. They do it their own way. Their work sounds more genuine. It sounds more authentic. There's more of their own person in there. And it keeps coming up, and the industry doesn't notice that these people sell massively and then fade away. They fade away because they don't get the support, but they sell massively on their first out or impression because they are honest. They're not product. They're artists. Sia is one of them. She's been working for ages. What's her name? Who did Lord, who did Royal, and Billie Eilish. All 3 of those are people that work on their music. They write their own stuff. They say what they want to say. They won't let you change their lines because this is my fucking work, man. And they're, like I said, all of a sudden they become huge. There's a reason why Billie Eilish, all of a sudden, for us old farts, just became this name that you saw everywhere because everyone was getting into it because it was genuine. It was honest. It was, in a way, a big throwback, not musically, but conceptually to what came before. And it was just, it resonates with people. And the industry is just not noticing that if they encourage more of that,
well,
they'll sell more.
I think the thing is, though, is like they let you in nowadays culture with music and stuff. Welcome to Amigos Critiques Music Show. But I think that nowadays what they do is they let these artists that do have like a good sound, like say like Billie Eilish that wasn't heard before or something like that, or somebody else. They let them do all the hard work for them, and then these firms come in and capitalize on it, you know. And then so then they don't have to go. They're there to guarantee a paycheck instead of giving you an advance, you know, because a lot of artists will get like money in advance to put out their first record and do that, and they either go buy something stupid or they don't do it right, and they lose the money right there, and then the industry loses the money that they put into them. But nowadays, especially with social media being such a huge factor, that you build your own audience, you build yourself up to a certain point, and then they come in and swoop, and then they can benefit from it. Not saying that these artists won't, because they can use the promotion that they have in different countries across the world, or the money behind all that stuff. Yes, that's cool, but that's how I feel music and culture works. That's why there's so many fucking rappers on SoundCloud and shit like that. And I know like hip hop and stuff like that may not be your forte, especially more current stuff, Steve. But like I miss the days of hip hop music when you would have stuff like, I know it's a big mainstream name that you've heard before, Lil Wayne. If you didn't know, he had one of the best catalogs that have ever graced the soundboards of hip-hop ever, of mixtape music, to where he would take beats that other rappers or people rapped on and then add his own over the beat and released it for free. And so that's why like you see like, oh, he has this thing, because you build your culture, you build your community, and then they swoop in and take over. And I miss days like that to where, like, I get it, there's a million SoundCloud rappers and stuff, so people will be like, oh, it's still around. It's not prevalent enough because now everybody's doing it for themselves. No one's supporting each other in music. And again, I'm not a music critiquer. I'm not a music person. I don't do reviews on music. So, I'm talking from my personal opinion. If you guys agree, that's cool. But that's where I'm coming from with it. And so it makes sense for them to wait and let people build themselves up like Billie Eilish and do that. And that's why mainstream media also does have that pushback, I think, because of the fact that she's different and weird, and that's how she made herself that popular that way. And then when you bring it mainstream, that's why you have the people like, oh, fuck that, I hate that music, I hate that song, stuff like that. But you're full of goddamn shit, because once it comes on the radio, you're like, I'm the bad guy, duh, you know what I mean?
Just want to point out that Jangles seems to have a request for you.
I don't think you mean Steven Sard.
No, Steven Sard definitely has a request to collaborate with you, but I
don't
think
see
Jangles is feeling that something's missing in this episode.
Oh yeah, sorry, buttholes. There you go, Jangles. Steven Sard said I should drop him a rap track on. I should drop a rap track on SoundCloud. Fun fact, and I've been trying to get access to it, but MySpace fucked up. I did have a very short-lived white boy thought he should be a rapper and should not have a rap career on MySpace, and I used to record these battles that I did with my friend in a spare room that I had in a house with my buddy in the closet because it was big enough to put recording equipment in, and I'd rap battle my fat Hispanic friend named Frank, and the best line that came out of all of the songs, we made like hundreds of these, was me calling him a $2 buffet at a cheap Las Vegas casino, but obviously in better words, or probably not because, you know, I'm not a rapper. But yeah, so.
And were you 12?
No, unfortunately, I was an adult. Yeah, I also got a hold of Fruity Loops and made beats really badly. You just go, and that's still, you can still hear those ones, but my rap tracks aren't on there. And I also wrote a rap song about how my friend's dog Mason's gonna get you and rape your leg. So, you know, we all have weird past.
Well, as I've revealed before, we all have embarrassing stuff in our history. I've mentioned before I got paid by the Canadian government to be a performance poet, and I did do a performance where I talked about shoving 4 fingers up my ass while staring directly into the eyes of all these besuited government representatives. It was definitely a highlight of my life.
Tax money.
I have a recording of it. You know, maybe one day I'll share it with you. It's embarrassing as hell.
So yeah, if you guys didn't know, Steve likes it 4 fingers deep. Oh.
I believe the opening lines were filthy, 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 shoving 4 fingers up my ass as I ejaculate jism upon my chest is filthy.
Oh.
And the poem just goes down from there.
Yeah. I can. It sounds like a naughty book you find in a RPG that was made in 1993.
Keep in mind, the Canadian government paid me to write and perform that.
So this is where your tax dollars are going, Canada. Steve's asshole. But we're hitting the last 6 minutes of the show. I don't really have too much else to say, but I can give a story about a weird time stuff got shoved up people's butts.
We seem to be hitting the gutter. Why not?
Yeah. All right. So this will be our last story, and we'll close it out for you guys. Thank you for staying this long, even though we didn't have a giveaway. You guys are the real MVPs. But let's go ahead and we'll close out the show with a disgusting story, since buttholes have been requested in the chat quite often. So I started doing photography when I got out of the military, and it was like 2012, 2013 probably. Anyways, there's this local group called Raw Artists, and they're across the United States, and they're really a scam, but I didn't know at the time. They would invite artists to these shows and all this stuff, but then you had to pay for your spot by selling tickets to the show and all this stupid shit. Anyways, long story short, for some reason back then even, because I wasn't taking great pictures, I'm not going to lie, I look back and they were crap. But they invited me to be a special guest. So I didn't have to pay, and they offered me all this stuff. And they had this party the night before the show, and then they wanted me to go to at this place called the, what was it called? It was like a steampunky burlesque bar in a casino on the Strip. Anyways, it was like a club. So the night before, they had it all shut down for the event and like the show event, and they had it for you guys to go party if you were part of the group. Anyways, so we get free tickets. It's me, Delane, my buddy Tom, and our other friend was going to meet us later. So anyways, we go in, we're sitting down, we're like, all right, cool, get a drink, we're drinking. The show starts, so we go, like, stand by the stage. I'm not a sitting kind of guy. If you guys notice me, I'm always like this on the chat. I don't like to sit still. Maybe it's my mom's a crackhead, the ADHD, I don't know. Anyways, I'm standing by the stage. Good night to you, Gets. Good to see you, bro. And then the show starts. So they had all these burlesque dancers come in. They had the giant dragon with like 30 people in it, whatever. And the thing tried to hump me when I was walking by. I'm like, all right, whatever, you know. They're like, the show's a little different, just so you know. You know, I was like, okay. So, anyways, they had some trans models come out and stuff and dancing around. I was like, all right, like whatever, you know. I'm getting free drinks and I'm enjoying the show. It's just, it is what it is, you know. Art is art. So I'm sitting there at the like third stage from the back, third row from the stage, and they have this exhibition, right? And so one of the ladies, that's what I'm calling them, you know, because like that's what they are, goes on the stage and pulls out this bottle of Jack Daniels. So I'm talking like dong hanging, you know, fake boobs, strap outfit, and all this stuff. So we're like, all right, you know, do your thing, you know, we're getting drunk. I'm giggling like a little kid. And so this person goes and grabs this bottle of Jack, chugs it, spits it in the air, does all these weird movements and stuff. We're like, oh, okay, cool, whatever, performance piece. Then all of a sudden, just like, bam, slams the ball down on the stage. We're like, okay, like that was weird, but I'm also thinking you guys are getting a suggestive idea I got right now too. I was like, what's going on with the bottle? So anyways, the person goes and stands over the bottle, feet shoulder length apart, sits down on the bottle, and you can guess where it goes, the butthole, and grabs it, stands up, does this dance move, spins around, and we're just like, oh shit, you know, like what the hell? You know, I didn't expect to see a full frontal penis. I didn't expect to see dudes with boobs, chicks with dicks, whatever you want to call it. I'm not judging. But anyways, that's going on, and then that happened. So everyone in the crowd's just like, you know, because it was uncomfortable, because like it was totally unexpected. So everyone's a little uncomfortable. So anyways, dancing around, does he spins with the ball sticking out. You see it sloshing around in there, everything. Anyways, does this last spin, stops, grabs the bottle from their butthole, chugs a bunch of it, and then spits it on the crowd. I have never seen a whole place go so irate. You know how you watch old Terminator movies and everyone's fighting in the bar and shit? That's literally what happened. All I know is I didn't get sprayed with the butt whiskey, and I was just laughing my whole time off, laughing my ass off the whole time. And so, yeah, that was really weird. Needless to say, that place got shut down a week later. The next day I went to the show, and then the actual show, you know, where the artists were set up. And they had this group called Project 150. I'll give them a quick shout out. They do great stuff in Vegas. They collect clothes for kids that can't go to prom. I had a nice suit jacket on, donated to them. Anyways, I bring it up because if you're in Las Vegas, they're a great group. Anyways, so yeah, there's my story of a person with both boobs and a wiener sitting on a bottle of whiskey and then spitting it into a crowd I was a part of.
Just gotta hope there were no floaters in that whiskey.
You know what I'm saying? Imagine if you did that right now with this whole coronavirus epidemic. Oh my god.
Oh, people would go insane. People go insane. We have a moment or two. I published a story just the other day. Well, I shared it in my friend's Facebook. And it kind of matches this story for a good tie-up, and it's kind of gross. So back in the day, I didn't eat very well. I wasn't very healthy. I had been homeless for a little while just before. Wasn't in the healthiest state. I had a house or apartment, a couple of roommates, and I came in with one roommate, and the other one's lying on the couch, and it's hot, it's summer, I'm wearing shorts, and I kind of felt a bit of a burly feeling. I thought, I'll fart on my roommate's face. And so I turned around and I aimed towards his face, and I realized what was going on just a little bit too late, and splattered him all over the face. Missed my leg, missed my shorts, didn't need PP. Everything was shiny clean. It just sprayed everywhere. And I turn and look at him and he's just like pulling it out of his eyes. And I just took off. Went straight to the bathroom, slammed that door shut, hit the locks. He comes barreling down the hall. He's banging on the door. I went out the bathroom window. I was completely clean. I went to my girlfriend's house on the other side of town, like powering, slammed her door shut, hid there for a while. He knew where she was. And I did not go back to that house for 4 months. I continued paying rent. I did not ever return. I moved in with the girlfriend full time. I hid from him. He was in the poetry group that we were in. And in that whole circle, I was like, any meetings, it's like, I'd see him coming in one door, I would go out the other door. I just totally like ghosted him. And after 4 months, I turn up at the place just to pack up my stuff and say, I can't pay rent here anymore. And he's sitting on the couch going, yeah, it's cool.
Sounds shitty, huh?
That was it. It was just yeah. But yeah, I have learned since then, don't fart in people's faces. Just don't. It's not worth it. You're never you no matter how good you feel, no matter where you think this is going to end, it's not worth the risk, guys. It's just no, don't do it.
Yeah, guys.
So yeah,
that's our stream tonight. It's also Legion's story about a stream, and that's where we're gonna end it. Don't fart in people's faces. That's what you need to take away from tonight. Also, make sure you're taking care of yourselves. Don't go out there fighting an old lady for some toilet paper. Don't go out there going crazy on the vape stuff and yelling at people. Also, keep in mind that you can still keep calling people if you're sent home from work and stuff. You have a little bit more time. Make sure you still call and put some calls in. I understand the coronavirus is very serious right now. It's probably on the top of the list for almost government agencies. But don't go silent. Do it what you can, at least once a day or once a week. Anything you can do. Also, stay safe out there. Make sure that you guys are washing your hands. Don't go out and touching your face and licking dog poop or farting on people's faces. Because as we learned tonight, that's not the way to go.
no.
But yeah, otherwise, Steve, you got anything for these great people?
No, not a heck of a lot. We've covered most of the things we need to, and some of the things we didn't. Stuff will be coming up on my channel. If you can, tune in on Friday, Thursday for you guys in the States. For I Am Vaping, well, I will not be talking about farting or pooping unless I am specifically asked. We'll see what happens in the chat. Other than that, yeah, the usual stuff. Vape on, vape safely, and thank you, as always, for wasting your time listening to our inane rambles.
Yeah.
We really do appreciate and love you all.
And T-Guest dropped it in the chat earlier, just a quick shill before we go. There is a 35% off sale at Local Vape. The website will have the code on there. I am a terrible employee, and I do not know it off the top of my head. But besides the time that there's a sale, you can get Breestone's coils at localvape.com for 20% off with Amigos 20. Steven starts to put in the chat. Otherwise, Legion said it best. That's all we got. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate every single one of you. Me and Glenn should be back for Friday Fallout. Otherwise, thank you for being here. We love you guys so much. And stay safe. Don't go out there licking buttholes. Anyways, we'll see you guys next time.